Hello everyone of Australian Conference of Economists. My name is Xiao Li Jiang and welcome to my presentation. Let's look at the first slide. So as illustrated in this diagram, the impact of an consumption tax on consumer and producer welfare in the market. The left diagram shows the market equilibrium without any tax, where the consumer surplus is represented by the area below the demand curve and above the equilibrium price, and the producer surplus is the area above the supply curve and below the equilibrium price. The right diagram shows the effect of imposing a consumption tax. The tax drives a wedge between the price paid by consumers and the price received by producers, shifting the demand curve downwards in a parallel. As a result, the new market equilibrium occurs at a higher price for consumer and a lower price for producer. The consumption tax leads to a reduction in both consumer and producer surplus. The green area represents the tax revenue collected by the government, while the deadweight loss triangle highlights the overall loss of economy efficiency and the welfare in the market. The deadweight loss arises because the tax distorts the market signals, leading to overconsumption by consumers who value the goods less than its cost of production, and underproduction by suppliers who could have profitably supplied more units. This loss in allocative efficiency represents a net loss to society, which policymakers must weigh against the intended benefit of the consumption law. Okay, then let's move to the next slide. So this diagram demonstrates the impact of a tariff, which is a tax levied on imported goods in the market. The tariff shifts the supply curve upward and to the left, resulting in a higher equilibrium price and a lower equilibrium quantity compared to the free trade scenario without a tariff. Similar to a consumption tax, a tariff leads to a reduction in consumer surplus and the producer surplus. The rectangular area represents the tariff revenue collected by the government, while the deadweight loss triangle highlights the overall loss of economy, efficiency, and welfare in the market. The key difference between the deadweight loss in the case and the previously discussed consumption law lies in who bears the burden of the tax. With the consumption tax, which both consumer and producer bears a portion of tax burden, leading to a parallel shift in the demand curve. In contrast with the tariff, the burden is primarily borne by consumer, leading to an upward shift in the supply curve. Additionally, the deadweight loss associated with the tariff may be larger than that of consumption tax because the tariff distorts not only domestic consumption and production decisions, but also international trade patterns, potentially leading to further inefficiency in resource allocation. Then let's look at the next diagram. So in scenario 1, generative AI decreases inequity. This diagram on the left shows a scenario where adoption of generative AI technologies increases the demand of labor, potentially reducing the inequity in the labor market. The increased demand for labor, represented by outward shift in the labor demand curve, could arise from several mechanisms. The first is productivity enhancement, where generative AI could augment human works, increasing their productivity and making them more valuable to employers, thus increasing the demand for their labor. The second is complementary task, where generative AI may create new tasks and job opportunities that complement human labor, increasing the overall demand for workers. The third is a new business model where the development of generative AI could give rise to new business models and industries, so creating additional labor demands across the various sectors. As the demand for labor increases, the equilibrium employment level rises, the wage will also increase. So higher wages and employment opportunity could potentially reduce income inequality by providing more jobs, prospects, and better compensation for workers, particularly those in lower income brackets. Let's look at the scenario 2, generative AI augment inequality. This diagram on the right illustrates a scenario where the adoption of generative AI technologies reduce the demand for human labor, potentially increase inequality in the labor market. The decreased demand for labor, represented by an inward shift in the labor demand curve, could be driven by several factors. The first one is automation and job displacement, where generative AI may automate certain tasks and the job previously performed by human workers, reducing the demand for their labor. The second is skill bias, where if generative AI primarily complement high-skilled workers while substituting for low-skilled labor, it could lead to a skilled bias decrease in labor demand for certain segments for the workforce. The third would be a concentration of benefits, where the benefits of generative AI may occur disproportionately to small segment of the population, such as highly skilled workers or business owners, while displacing others. As the demand of labor decreases, the equilibrium employment level falls, the wages also decline. So lower wages and fewer employment opportunities could exacerbate income inequality, particularly for workers in lower skilled or easily automatable jobs. The actual impact of generative AI on equality in the labor market will likely depend on various factors, including the pace of adoption, the distribution of skills and training, and the policy responses implemented to mitigate potential negative effects. And then let's look at the next slide. So generative AI have the potential in significantly impact productivity and output in economy, depending on various factors influencing its adoption and integration. So in the first scenario, generative AI boosts productivity by making producing processes more efficient, fostering innovative and augment human labor. The increased productivity shifts to an aggregate supply curve to the right, leading to higher economy output and a lower price level. As depicted in the first diagram, efficiency gains reduce production costs, innovation creates new products and services, and the labor augmentation enhance workers' productivity, all contributing to increased output. In contrast, the second scenario illustrates a situation where generative AI leaves productivity largely unchanged. This could occur due to limited adoption of AI technologies, sector variance where productivity gains in some areas are offset by declines in other, or practical challenges in implementing AI effectively. In this case, the aggregate supply curve remains unchanged, indicating no significant impact on overall productivity or output, as shown in the second diagram. So consequently, the output and price level in the economy remain stable, reflecting the limited influence of generative AI on aggregate productivity. Then, just to assess the health and economic growth in the consequences of fat tax using an econometric model, the DAG outlines the hypothetically causal relationships. Implementing a fat tax increases the price of unhealthy foods, leading to decreased consumption of such foods. The reduction in consumption is expected to improve health outcomes by lowering the incidence of diet-related diseases. Improved health outcomes then lead to lower healthcare costs and higher labor productivity. So the economic model can utilize panel data to analyze those relationships, where fat tax is a treatment variable. Key variables such as the price and consumption of unhealthy food, healthy outcomes, for example, incidence of obesity and diabetes, healthcare cost, labor productivities, and economic growth metrics, for example, GDP growth, are all included. So by applying regression techniques, the model can estimate the direct and indirect effects of the fat tax on economic growth, accounting for the mediating effects of health outcome and labor productivity. The approaches provides a comprehensive understanding of broader economy implication of health policy intervention, such as a fat tax. So thank you. That's all. This is all of my presentation. Thank you.